Just saying, from a viewpoint, it seems like you like women that you can manipulate into thinking that you're the best thing that they've ever had in order for them to feel like that it's okay that he cheats on me because I've got a prize. Absolutely not.
That's a fact.
It speaks to the issues that men face, the issues that have been overlooked, the issues that have not been addressed effectively by society, by governments, by, in our context, the church, where we've not addressed it. It's speaking to those areas. It's speaking to the grief. It's speaking to the trauma. It's speaking to the rejection. It's speaking to the failures. And men are presenting ideas that help men feel empowered. But the problem with language is whoever gets to tell the story first is the one who's allowed to frame the narrative. And I know both of you can understand that, especially from creative perspective, from a storytelling perspective, you understand that. So whoever gets to tell the story first gets to frame, the landscape for manhood and masculinity. And that's what we see in the Manosphere, where we see these figures come in and frame it like women are our enemies, women are against us, society is against us, our backs are against the wall, we have to fight back, we have to dominate women, we have to subdue women, we have to subjugate women, we have to disrespect, violate women. It's cunning and it's crafty and it's presenting itself as empowerment, but really it's self-destruction.
Visit us for updates and shows at affinityxtra.co.uk.
The views and opinions expressed in this podcast are personal and do not necessarily represent the views of Affinity Xtra.
Hello and welcome to Ideologees, the place where we look at the issues of life from an ideological perspective. Welcome to Affinity Xtra. I'm your host, mistermarkgee, and I got my co-host here, Mr. Roger Moore.
Yeah.
Today, as usual, we've had so many tremendous, wonderful guests to our podcast, and today is no different. Today, we have Pastor Emmanuel. Pastor Emmanuel, how you doing?
I'm good, brothers. Thank you so much for having me on. It's good to be here.
Wait, 1 second. I feel a bit dehydrated. 1 second. Keep going.
He wants the water of life. He wants the water of life.
I'm just gonna put that.
Oh
there.
my days.
I'm just gonna put that there. Man's gotta be dehydrated. Now, can I tell you a funny story about this bottle? I didn't even get this bottle. I got this as a Christmas gift, and then because I'm so slow, I realized there's a joke in here. There's a joke.
Hey,
because Arsenal always bottle it, but not this time. This time, anyway, this man comes to bite me. This man comes to bite me, but for what? My man's an Arsenal fan. I believe. Well, I'm dying Thomas, but I believe. I believe. I don't know. Can we do it? Are we going to do it?
We've got something for the haters.
Listen,
are we going to do it? Are we going to do it? No, just for the audience. Is Arsenal going to win the Prem and the Champions League?
If they don't
Prem for Champions League, I just need a few more days of prayer and fasting.
Okay. So let's
deliverance.
As you can see from the title today, it's all about manhood, a very important subject in our culture today. But before we get into that, we want to get to know a little bit about our guest. Now, Roger, I've only met this guy only once.
Okay.
Just a little bit of a profile of this guy, and we'll talk a little bit about what he does. But I went to a birthday party of one of my uni friends. Tessa, if you're watching, I don't know. But Tessa, if you're watching, uni friend from back in the day, we came to your birthday party and I saw this guy. One thing that really left an impression on me is just how warm and kind he was to everyone. You know what I mean? Obviously, he was a London brother, he had the whole, trappings of, what a London looks like. But bro, he was gang to everyone, from uncle to the baby. He was just chatting to everyone, very warm, very kind, and he left a lasting impression on me. So, I mean, the first question I would like to ask is, would that be a accurate summation of who you are? You're a very warm, very friendly guy, easygoing. Would people describe you that way?
Yeah, you know what? Yeah, I'll stick with that in all humility. Uh, I'll run with that, and I think, yeah, from all those years back, because that was a number of years ago now. But to have that, that said about me, and people still saying that about me up till today. Yeah, I
Yeah,
think it's
yeah,
very fair.
yeah. You definitely left a lasting impression upon me. Now you were a drummer then. Quick question: Did you feel that tug to be a pastor now? You are a pastor of a church.
Yeah.
Maybe you could tell us a little bit about your ministry before we talk about what you do with the brothers in London, the men of God that you meet up in London.
Sure.
But when did you start feeling the tug to pastoral ministry? Was it then or a little later?
You know what? There were glimpses of it back then, because even though I was playing drums back at that time, I've grown up a PK, so both my parents, both in ministry, supporting my parents. So even at that time, I was supporting with the youth church. So I was like, lead minister for the youth ministry, and supporting my mum out with that. So I was pretty much active then, and even those times as well. Like, I used to speak a lot at youth conferences, and I did have quite a few ministry engagements then. But I think the real pull probably came 2011, where just like I was sensing a lot that somehow, some way, ministry is on the cards for me. And that was very hard, because growing up seeing my parents in ministry as a PK, I'm not trying to go into church ministry. I've just seen what they've witnessed, what they've experienced. That's good enough for me. That's enough to put me off. Not because they had a horrible experience per se. Both my parents were great examples in ministry, but it was just the fact that people, like, you're dealing with people, you're dealing with life experiences, you're dealing with the highs of people, you're dealing with the lows of people, you're dealing with certain frictions, you're dealing with culture, you're dealing with the moments that are slow, you're dealing with the moments that are fast. And so I just said, you know what, for me, I don't mind supporting, I just don't want to be involved. But 2011, I really started to sense strongly that the Lord was calling me to ministry at some point. And over the next few years, it was a big tussle. Like, I genuinely started running from the Lord, running from the call to ministry, until a couple years later, where I just hit a roadblock, and I said, you know what, I can't run from the Lord anymore. When he wants to catch you, he's gonna catch you. The best thing to do is just yield and submit. So that was kind of like, I think 2011 were 2011, between 2011, 2013, 14, I think those were significant years where really they kind of solidified that, yeah, that was a direction of travel. But also, it was not just going to be ministry, like church ministry. Definitely there's a call to outside of the four walls. And I think that was part of my wrestle, because I thought, Lord, there's more to me than church in and of itself. And I remember a conversation I had with the Lord in prayer, and it was kind of like, who told you that, I had just called you, within the four walls? I never said that. You had just projected that onto yourself, because you have an idea of what ministry looks like, church ministry looks like. But I'm calling you to a lot more, especially outside the four walls, and being able to minister to people with the different gifts I've given you.
And Roger, he said something really interesting there. He witnessed the weight that comes with pastoral ministry. Because, me and you, I mean, maybe not you, but me, sometimes, you look like a pastor, and, you can see, him on stage, and it's like, that's the best bit. Yeah. But there's so much heavy lifting behind the scenes that we at the pews do not see what's going on in the pulpit. And he's seen it firsthand, because a lot of people, especially in the Western church, they associate, especially the pastors with big platform, they think royalty, like, wow, this man, everyone is flocking towards him. I think in the persecuted, let's not forget, just to be of context, in the persecuted parts region of the world, being a pastor is having a target on your back. like two different worlds. Like being a pastor in the West, unfortunately, can be Instagram following, my brand, my thing. Being a pastor in Nigeria, being a pastor in North Korea, in some parts of Nigeria, being a pastor certainly in North Korea, is having a target on your back.
Yeah.
Maybe you could talk about that. That there is actually, maybe I don't know. Maybe have you got anything to say about that? That there is a weight to ministry. There is a weight. It's not just I'm in the limelight. Everyone's looking at me. Like there is a weight. Do you know?
I think it's leadership and I think organization in itself. As much as the churches are. We let's not overthink it. When you're a manager of a corporation, everybody wants, and this world gives you this is the CEO of his company, and everybody thinks they just get up, work 9 hours, 8 hours, like everybody else, 7.5 hours, whatever, go away, have their annual leaves and whatever. Still, end of the day, still, when you're responsible, you know what I mean? I think. Particularly our community, we look at Instagram videos of CEOs and think, right, yes, privilege gives you that. Yeah, there's privilege, but also there's hard work. Yeah. And the hard work it takes to manage organizations with big finances, big people, big amounts of people, there's a level of skill set which is, do you really want this? And, sometimes you might say, I don't want to be CEO. I don't want to be a pastor, because that level of responsibility, even outside of church, there's a moral responsibility. As a sportsman, you just want to be a youth out there. There's a level of moral responsibility. There's a level of responsibility wherever you go that takes you off a ground level, and it's not to belittle pastoralship, but because pastoralship is even harder because there's a higher responsibility to live what you chat. Which we don't see enough of, and we don't celebrate it when it happens. We highlight the failures within us. We point out the quirks. We point out this, but we don't celebrate the artists. Maybe because we don't trust the artists now. You know what I'm saying? Maybe we don't trust pastors right now. You know what I'm saying? We don't trust pastoral leadership. So as a leader going into the modern world, you going in there not like +10 like our parents did. I'm a pastor, and they have a idea of going, they're good people. They look at pastors. This a negative now. You know what I'm saying? You go in there with negative because of the hidden secrets of the past. We are now facing the backlash in ministry when standing up, but you're a pastor. We know what you're like. We don't have that reverence. You know what I'm saying? That we do inside the community. And that's not the world's fault. That's our fault. You know what I'm saying? And that, you know what I mean? And that's not me personally, but that's historical Christianity going into this day. So they will just bring it up and says, okay, you killed off a bag of people over here, you know what I mean, in the crusade, Muslims, and they still read about it today. It's not our business. It's nothing to do with us. But that's the problem with legacy of it. So that's why I think it. I don't went too deep.
There is a way. There is a way, and I'm sure Gamechanger knows this very well. The Bible says the teachers of the world will be, judged more harshly. I'm sorry for reminding you. sorry, Gamechanger for remind. But no, there is a weight, and I like how you expanded it. That it's not just pastoral leadership; it's leadership of every kind. There is a weight. All right, so obviously. A lot of people know about what you do, but for those that don't, tell us about your church. Tell us about some of when it started, what are some of the things that's going on in the church at the moment, and how's pastoral ministry within that context? How's that been?
Awesome, thank you. So we are, the church is called City Worship London. We are based in West London, in Ealing, West London. We are going to be 8 years in July by the grace of God. I co-lead with my brother and the support of my wife as well. We have a fantastic team of elders and people that volunteer and support the work of God. We are, we're a bunch that's on fire for God, and something that's very dear to our heart is the Bible being accessible, to everyone, biblical literacy. I'm big on that because I think that in this day and age, we have to not just know the word, but let the word live through us, let the word breathe through us. And so that's why we're big on that. And so we're generally, in terms of age group and community group, we're mainly millennials and Gen Zs, which I really enjoy. And we're growing in a community that needs to hear the gospel, that needs to know more about Jesus Christ. And, historically speaking, West London has been like a hard region in London. When you think of London, a lot of people think of church, yeah, great and amazing. But I think more time they're thinking maybe North London, South London, East London. But West London has been quite,
I would debate that. Gaemechanger.
Is it?
I had great experiences in Ealing when I went to university. I went to a great church called Ealing Christian Center. That's where James of the 29 chapter used to go there.
My brother used to go there,
ECC. I remember going. I've always known of ECC because I'm kind of like I'm not going to lie. I'm shameless. I'm a big fan of the 29th chapter to this day. I still buy their tracks. James was my best man. James, much love to you. He's now a pastor at Basingstoke. He didn't want to be a pastor as well, but God kind of led him that way. But I had great experiences in Ealing. ECC is a great church, and also there's another church called St. Paul's. Now I'm sorry I'm not that I'm trying to cause a debate. Though we're about debates, but West got some great churches. There's St. Paul's in Hammersmith. I think there's another St. Paul's in Ealing. There's some great churches in Ealing, bro. Like, bro, you guys are doing all right in Ealing,
I don't want to downplay it. There are
some great churches.
I think the wider context with the different boroughs. I think in comparison to the other regions, like I said, North East, South London, where South London, for example, you could just go to Old Kent Road and there's probably about 30, 40 churches on that road alone.
Are they all good though?
You go to North London, East London. It's contested where there are, ECC is a great church and they've done a lot of great work, and we've been able to collaborate on one or two things back in the day when we first started. But yeah, I think God really wants to do a work in West London. There's a lot there. The ground is strong because if we go back more historically, in London anyway, church-wise, there was a lot going on. Early 1900s and prior to that. So there's something there, and we're just trying to lock into what God wants to do. Very big on missions to the culture. So we do have quite a lot of creatives. We've got musicians. We've got people in business. We've got people in law. People that that are Christians in the marketplace, and we just want to be able to support by discipling them effectively so they can go out into the world and do much good for the kingdom of light. So yeah, that's what we're doing. As I've said, by the grace of God, we're going to be 8 in July. It's not been easy. I think that I was talking to someone earlier today. One of the biggest things is the fact that I had to pastor during a pandemic. I would have never thought in my lifetime that would have been a situation, but to pastor through the pandemic, I think you need a special kind of badge for that, because those times were crazy. But by the grace of God, we're still here, we're still standing. Church leadership isn't for the faint-hearted. So I didn't come into it looking for anything, to be honest. As I said, I was running away from this. But my heart is genuinely for people. My heart is to serve people. When I wake up, this is what it's all about for me. I do when people ask me, is ministry full-time? Yes, it's full-time, but I still have a 9 to 5. So
I was going to ask you about that, because I think I saw something on the social saying that you're bivocational. Is it IT you're doing or something like that? Correct me if I'm wrong.
So that's one of my main specialisms. But yeah, generally now it's business consultancy. But IT is what electrical engineering is what I studied in uni. But a lot of my post-uni certifications are in IT. But I'm a big generalist. I'm a IT consultant, business consultant. Yeah, that's my world of work.
Social media influencer. I see you. I see you, bro.
The influencer bit, I'm wrestling with that because I'm just, I'm just doing me. I'm just doing what I believe the Lord's called me to do. And yeah, I know I think human nature, or I guess in this day and age, people try and attach a title to something. So I do hear quite often people are like, you're a social media influencer, and I'm just like, I mean, I know there's some negative connotations around it, so I don't want to, if that's what I do is that, then fine, I'm an influencer. But
I'd say content creator, or
I'm a content creator.
I describe myself. It's actually on my bio. I describe myself as a cultural commentator. So that's I prefer that cultural comment, because you give commentary to the things of culture. Like I really like your social posts. You're really giving truth. And that's something I'm trying to do. I'm trying to copy you. Just trying to weigh in on what's going on culturally, but obviously as kingdom citizens as well, kind of bringing the kingdom worldview to a whole button topic. And I like that you do it. I like the fact that you do it. Now, we're gonna talk about manhood. We're gonna talk about manhood today. But I think it's very important that we establish why we believe that you are the best guest, or rather what you're a guy fitting to be part of this conversation. I want you to talk about the ministry that you and your friend and your brother in Christ Ayo do with manhood, and then we're gonna get to the meat. We're gonna get to the meat, guys. We just dessert at the moment. Do bear with us, but we're starting to cook now. But maybe talk about your passion for manhood and how it's materialized with the work that you're doing with Brother Ayo.
Yeah. So thank you for asking. So I'm part of a men's organization called 412 Men. It was founded by, my brother Ayo, who's also a pastor, Ayo Kunu Duni. A great stand-up fella, very inspirational. I can't.
Ayo, he's a photographer as well. Ayo.
Yeah.
I know his face. Yeah.
Ayo Studios. Yeah.
So an incredible man, an incredible brother. And yeah, he started, I believe, 2017, 412 Men, based off the scripture in Timothy, 1 Timothy 4:12, and where Paul is talking to Timothy, and he's basically charging Timothy to live, in an upstanding way, to check his conduct, to check the way he lives, and to check how he comports himself in front of the people who he's called to lead, but also, the world at large. And, as a friend, as a brother, when he came to me, I said, look, I want to start this thing for men. Naturally, the way I'm wired is that when someone close to me, whether a friend or family comes and says, look, I want to start something. If I have the capacity to, if I have the skills, if I have the know-how, even if I don't have the know-how, I just want to be able to support. And so I said to him, look, I'm with you. And so at first he was just doing the sessions. I wasn't able to, early days, I wasn't able to go. I think the first 6 to 9 months, I was not able to go. Fairly new to marriage. Ministry was very, high at that time. When I mean high, a lot was going on. This was just pre us starting the church, but there was a lot going on. I was traveling a lot, so I wasn't able to make it. But he was doing sessions in central London, London Bridge, gathering a few men, and it just started with a couple men, 5 men, then 10 men, then 10 became 15, 15 became 30, 30 became 50, 50 became 70 at certain points. And by this particular moment in time, we were using a public venue. We were using Pret a Manger, the coffee store in London Bridge, and we were just growing. And there was a particular manager at the time, an amazing black guy, French dude, and he was like, "Yo, like, you guys, do you have a venue? Do you guys have a spot, that's bigger, that will be able to host you guys?" And we were like, "No, we don't." And he was like, "You know what? We've got we've got the downstairs space, and we're happy to just lock it off for you guys. So if you guys are happy, we're going to open it up for you. We won't allow anyone downstairs unless they need to go to the toilet. We're going to keep it for you. So imagine a brand like a coffee brand, like a big high street store like Pret a Manger. It was a godsend. The guy was a godsend. Let's just put it like that.
That sounds like that. Yeah.
We don't know where that guy is right now, but he was just someone that the Lord used mightily. And from there, the numbers were just going up. Like, we would pack out that downstairs space until they needed to close the store. And then after, we would go out into the streets in London Bridge. And anyone who's been to London Bridge knows it's busy, it's hustle, it's bustle. So imagine seeing, 50 guys, 60, 70, 80 sometimes, standing outside, like huddling in a circle, sometimes singing, praying, worshiping God. Passers-by looking like, what's going on here? You've got the feds driving by like, what's going on? And they will see us like praying for random people will just come and, what's going on here? We're like, yeah, we're just praying for men and this, that, and the third. And we would have unbelievers, we would have drunk people, we would have Muslim guys, everything you can possibly think of. They would come, like, literally afterwards. We would pray for them, we would encourage them. Certain guys, they were hungry, they were homeless, whatever. The guys would be like, yeah, let's put some money together, give to this person. And literally, that's how we were the word was just getting about so strong. That was going on for a couple of years. And then when we got to the pandemic, that was kind of like the hard roadblock where we had to then turn to doing work online. But I say all of that to say that, it's, I can't take any credit. It's, it's my brother's, something that the Lord, put in my brother's hand. And, by the grace of God, I'm one of the main contributors. We've got Pastor Io, we've got myself, and then we've got two other people, Pastor Rev Tim, and then Pastor Corriday. So there's four of us who are the main contributors. And, now, as there's been a lot of traction with the work that we do, word getting out there, social media also helping with that as well. There's been a lot of engagement. We've been able to, go on radio. We've got collaborations coming up with other organizations. So by the grace of God, it's getting out there. And look, it's founded on godly principles. And aside from the 1 Timothy 4:12, and this is where I kind of wrap it up for now, is the fact that, I wanted to have this, a symbolic message to it as well. So the 4 element, it's not just 1 Timothy 4:12, but it's the fact that over 4 generations, a man, so let's say for me, for example, I should be able to disciple 12 men. And over 4 generations, anyone should be able to trace, some sort of lineage, discipleship lineage to me, for example. So for the next 4 generations, if I disciple 12 men, for the next 4 generations, there should be some traceable connection back to my life, my impact, my work. And so every man that comes, we place everyone who's committed anyway, that's kind of a charge we're giving to every man that does come to 412 men, and that is a part of 412 men. So it's bigger than, just coming and talking about, men's topics and men's issues and chopping it up. And also to highlight that even though we're founded on Christian principles, we are very much open. We've had men from, who are Muslims, men who don't believe in anything. They're atheists, they're, Hindus. We've had different sorts of men come through. But at the end of the day, the message remains clear, it remains the same. And by the grace of God, we've been able to make a lot of impact. So that's.
And you're gonna start branching. You're gonna start a chapter in Birmingham, right? We're ready for you. We're gonna start a chapter in Birmingham. Now, I wanna ask a very important question at this juncture. Why do you think men are flocking to something like that? Because to have all these men come to this thing, what is it in a man? In men, what is it, that thing? What do you feel is calling people? What's the attraction? Because if a sister down the road is like, why are just a bunch of guys coming and sitting and talking and listening and fellowshipping and praying? what is the attraction there?
Mhm.
What is that felt need there that is being met?
You know what it is? The simple answer is brotherhood. There's a deep desire in every man for brotherhood, for community. And I think in our society, where we've kind of downplayed, the power of male community, male brotherhood, done in the right way, done in a impactful way, a lot of men just turn to isolation, and then you hear the narratives of the alpha male, guys who just go off on their own and they come back and now they're the leader of the pack, or they just do life on their own, or they feel like I can make it, or nobody helped me get to the top, that kind of stuff. Nobody helps me get where I am. All these individualistic narratives, these harmful narratives, that bring men into isolation. When you see that men can walk together with one another, in a friendly way, in a loving way, in a strong and firm way, in an affirming way, that doesn't have to remove, who God has called you to be, but it empowers you to be the man that God has called you to be. When you see it in action, you won't want to be a bystander. And the irony is that some guys have watched what we've done over the years and kind of watch from afar. It's like, is this real? And then when they come, they realize, yeah, this is legit. This is a serious thing. It's because it's not performative. Men want to see brotherhood in action. Men want to see what brotherhood can look like in the right way. And so for me, I think this is a great opportunity, because as believers, I don't personally, I'm going to be biased. There's no one better to set pace and show the world that we can actually do it, as followers of Jesus Christ. And I think when the world sees that, then they will be able to understand, but also pursue doing brotherhood and community in the correct way.
Roger, I want you to speak to that as well. Obviously, as well as being the CEO here at Affinity Xtra, you're very embedded in the community in Birmingham. You got a football club. You deal with guys. You talk to guys.
Yeah.
You have sons. As a father, as a man in the community, as a man who's passionate about the gospel, as a man who's passionate about making an impact, I would like to just give you the space to weigh in on that. What is it about that? What is that felt need, and how do you see it manifest in your situation?
In my situation, I am quite open with this in terms of my circles, where obviously, I have a football club because I believe that there's not many positive spaces for black men, for us to engage black men. They're not coming to church, so we need something in a positive space. We don't need to meet them in the highways and the byways. We can meet them in a space which is positive for the well-being. That's why I'm passionate about investing into that. And it seems to be a headache, but it's been positive. But the thing is, I probably have more black men around me on a Saturday morning than is in a church, any of the churches in Birmingham. When you got up to 30, influence of up to 40 black men in a group from the age of 16 to 50, and before the games you have to pray and you play in the Christian league. You know what I'm saying? It's a positive input that they can go away with. But taking that aside, the reason probably for the success again is what men are yearning, but also it's indictment on the church where you cannot get brotherhood within our spaces. I think for me, being in church all my life, and I'm coming up to 50 now, I said to my generation of guys and my cultural background, I said to somebody the other day, I'm being alone. And I said, no, I have key people, but realistically, in terms of a group of men, I can effectively say I've been alone. Alone in terms of if you tick the box of working, doing what the system wants you to do, you're fine. You can go to church as a man, pay your tithes, smile and wave, and go home. That's cool. And so much men have prescribed to that, to care for the community outside the four walls, to invest into people, to think of others before you think of yourself. To actually follow, you know what I'm saying? It goes against the grain. So it's a lonely road when it comes to men, because I've had Christian men actively, I have non-Christian men say to me, why haven't Christian men not come over to you and we work with you? But they know you guys are Christians. Why aren't you working together? Why are they against you?
And that's the question. That's the question that I would like to ask.
And that's the thing is, and this is why the churches are
what
empty
went wrong
of men.
What went wrong? So I wanna go.
I'm just going
No. I think we're onto something here. We're cooking. We're on. This is amazing. We're going to start with you. We're going to start with your day, and then then Gamechanger is going to pick it up. Pastor Emmanuel is going to pick it up.
Yeah. Sure.
You've said a lot, and so for me, the begging question that I think everyone is asking, I'm asking is, what went wrong in the church? What went wrong? What was missing? And then I want you to pick up from someone who's, no disrespect, much older than us. and then so sure. I'm gonna give a direction from here, because I think we're onto something very serious now. I want to talk about what went wrong from your day. What you see wrong, and how the world.
Okay.
Then we're gonna get into how the world is trying to fill in that gap, but doing it in a bad way because they don't have the truth. So maybe let's start with you, because I think that's what's wrong with the issue of manhood. It's happening in God's house. There's something happening in God's house that is not quite right. Let's start with you and your day. I'll come over to you, and then we'll talk about where we are at today, not just in the church, but as a society. And by the way, guys, yes, we're going to talk about the Manosphere. We're going to talk about Andrew's take. We're going to talk about all of that, and also bring a kingdom perspective, because we're believers. So, Roger, let's go. But, let's go.
Okay,
let's talk about your day.
My day. Okay, end of the day, so I just have to give you a picture.
What went wrong?
But the thing is, was it ever right? That's the question. You know what I'm saying? And nothing's perfect. So I'm not coming from a perfect church base. You know what I'm saying? Was it ever right in terms of male dominance over women? In terms of when I was younger, in terms of women, I've been to church, my wife's church, and they actually said that women couldn't talk in their members meeting. Yeah, they only just got rid of that rule when I met my wife, and that's like less than 30 years ago. Yeah, so you're talking about that extreme. Yeah, in my church they could, but not in her church. They couldn't talk in, even when they were women pastors, but in the meetings, because of the scripture when it talks about women can't talk in these meetings, they actually took that literally.
That's a misinterpretation, but okay.
But no, 100%, and then move forward. But you've gone from one extreme like that to the other extreme. It's the lack of holy. You're not looking at the whole man when it comes to, and I feel that when it comes to business. We did our business outside the church. Yeah. Right. The only thing we did in church was our spirituality. Yeah. And then we couldn't debate in church. You know what I'm saying? You couldn't debate. You couldn't talk. It's whatever pastor says. And then the fraudulent figures start to come out. And men just said, forget this. Oh my God. Yeah. And
I think we're onto something here.
And ultimately, my thing is this. You guys are the age group that should be peer mentoring my sons. So I encourage peer mentorship. Yeah. And I only could talk for my community, my Afro-Caribbean community. And I'm saying, when you give your gloves up in something like football or whatever sports or whatever you do, are you discipling? We only think of discipleship from a spiritual perspective. Are you discipling men on a financial perspective? Are you discipling men in all these sorts? Are we taking care and growing our community? Why do our men have to go outside to learn how to do their financial business? Why do men have to go outside to look after their relationship, talk about relationships? And this is where the Manosphere's talk come in, is because we don't deal with any male issues. within our four spaces. We don't keep it 100, and it's not just about men dominating.
It's like you said, you go to church,
Yeah.
you listen to the pastor,
Yeah.
you pay your tithe, you
Yeah.
sing a song,
and you're good.
and then you go home.
But the thing is,
Damn.
that's an easy road to take because our wives are happy. Are our wives? Do they want activated men in the community? Am I going here? Yeah. So yeah, is it to the advantage of women to have activated men in our community? You know what I'm saying?
Is that a question?
No. I'm not saying women can point out. Is that the inspiration they may want somebody high money? Let's be real. What they see out there, they want good wages, stability, just smile and wave. Make sure I can pay my bit. You know what I mean? Have more than go to the coffee shop, do this, and have
That's
that
an
nice life.
interesting
You know what I'm saying? Have that nice life.
That's an interesting question. But I'll venture to say
Go.
that I also believe that.
I'm not criticizing them.
So
I'm just
no,
pointing out.
but
Yeah.
you have a wife, I have a wife,
Yeah.
and Iman, you have a wife.
Yeah.
If I look at the profile of our wonderful spouses, they wanted a man, and not just a man, but a good man, a godly man, a man who's got a direction. So I believe there's some women who want a man. I'd like to believe that a woman who they want a good man, a man who fits the criteria of a man that can lead and lead in love, who's got a vision. I see that in you. I see that in you as well.
Yeah.
You know, someone who's a man with a plan. Are there really women who don't want that though?
No, bro. Yes, bro. Come on, man. bro. Let's be real. Come on, man. Let's not play about with this, man.
I'm saying they're sisters.
No.
Bro.
Come on.
Bro.
Okay, come on now. Come on, guys. Listen. Right. I've been around longer. You guarantee, man. Right, guys. I'm gonna put it out to you both. Yeah. I have seen. Right. No internet. I've lived that world. Yeah. No internet. No computer. The only sources of information is school, church. They will feed the moment you open that up because of the internet, which has been great for knowledge, but also it gives you other worldviews. You go on Insta right now, yeah? This is what our young men are seeing. Women demanding the certain stuff, demanding this, and don't think that does not infect women at all ages. Check out the news feeds. Check out go. I'm not being harsh, guys. Anybody who's watching in, I'm not saying to go into your wife's algorithms. Yeah, you know what I'm saying. Because you get to understand what's going on there. But the thing is, let's be real. We do absorb.
So what are you saying that those? I mean, and Emmanuel, I need you to weigh in.
Emmanuel's laughing because I'm saying what he wants to say.
I know.
You know what I'm saying?
I need you to weigh in.
Look
here.
at them laugh,
Are
man.
you saying again? It's conversation. Are you saying that sisters, the sisters who want men of value are the exception and not the rule nowadays? Men who not value as in high value man, but men who have genuine value, godly, loving, caring, nurturing, leader, vision, dreams, goals, and like the true value. Is that okay? Maybe you know what? Okay, cool.
But
maybe. Imagine Gaemechanger. Let's
okay.
Gaemechanger.
What do you see the algorithm? What is algorithm? Yeah,
you're pastor. So let's you see among the brothers and sisters. Just weigh in on what Brother Roger just said.
I think what bro was saying was there is something there. I think that I want to bring the flip side to that. I see is I think women have had to put up with
yes. I agree.
Maybe the minimum or subpar life, right? And now that through the algorithms, through social media, they've been exposed to something greater. So we've seen over the last 100 years the big transition in women's rights and all of those kind of things, right? And the different extremes that we see within that. But I think at large, a lot of women have had to put up with these manhood being bland. You come home, you put bread on the table, you don't really offer much. but you're just doing, what's culturally what a man needed to do, which is the PMP, provide and protect, right? But you didn't offer, emotional support. You didn't, involve yourself really with the kids. You weren't as active, and this is not everyone's story, but these are just some commonalities, right? Especially if we're speaking from a cultural view. I can speak heavily from, an African cultural view where a lot of the fathers that they just did, they brought home the bacon, but they weren't active in the lives of their kids. I was fortunate enough to be in a situation where my dad was as active as he was in ministry. He was active in my life. He took me to football matches. We went to the library together. We did a lot of stuff together. So, but I realized growing up, I was an anomaly. Because a lot of my friends that I grew up, and I did a post about this recently, in my life up to this point, now being in my mid-30s now, most of my life, and I would say 90-something% of my friends and people that are close to me either grew up without their father or grew up with their father around, but never had a strong relationship with their father. So bringing this back to women, a lot of women didn't have, husbands who were actively engaged in the marriage. So now social media has come, and it's like, yes, I feel like I should demand more from a man because what I was tolerating, the bare minimum. My husband weren't changing the nappies. He weren't active in the home. He weren't helping me out with, if I said I wanted to do my hair, and maybe let's say if the wife wasn't working, like just those little things to do to take care of themselves. And now someone on the internet is telling me, yo, your man should be able to give you this, that, and the third. Now, don't get me wrong, there are extremes. And I think it's crazy right now because of social media, it's leveled the playing field. Anybody and everybody has an opinion and can speak, even the unqualified. So I want to caveat that. But I think in general, I think women have been able to go, I think through the women empowerment movements, and just at large where women are going, you know what, I can get a job, I can get paid well for it, I can do well in my career. I think the thing has been shifted, which then, obviously, I know we're not trying to go into that part of the conversation yet, which then leads into conversations about the manosphere, because now the tables are turning. Now, especially if we're speaking about our community, the stats are showing that Black women are out earning Black men. Black women are more educated than Black men, especially if I'm talking about UK context. So there's some specific things that are challenging narratives that we've grown up always being or always knowing. Men, are financial leaders in the home. Men were more educated than women, etc. Now the tables are turning. Now women are pushing, but they're now beginning to beat men, quote unquote. And now we're wondering where our position in society is. But like I said, I don't want to go too far down that road, but I definitely do hear what you're saying. But I think really what that did was it sparked the conversation, which I feel is what's happening now in this conversation where we're going, wait, no, you're making a point, but that's unearthing. Maybe there was a lot of stagnancy by men. Maybe we were comfortable as men, not doing much, doing the bare minimum and calling that manhood. Now there's some things that are poking at that going, really manhood? Is this what really manhood is really all about? Because if you don't make money, are you really a man? If you can't provide, are you really a man?
I've heard that. Listen, I heard that. But something that you said about, in terms of the wealth of Black men, in terms of it's being below. Now, this goes back to a generation. Now, I was the guys who were born after the Winwunch generation, and my parents came over here. So you could say I'm part of the first batch of born here kids, even though I was the back end of them. My thing is this: we have waited to get jobs like slaves from our master. We haven't came to this country to build business and to have to give jobs. So we haven't come to, and the church, and not the church, be harsh, the only one of the most noble establishments within our community is the church. Yeah, full stop for the Afro-Caribbean community.
No, we started, but that was started by the people themselves.
These are noble spaces, but it wasn't really for our community. It's just faith alone. Yeah. But if it was for a community like the temples, like the synagogues were when they first came over, they have been not only their spiritual guidance, whether we agree with their spirituality or not, they've been there for their business guidance to this
Yeah, like a more holistic approach.
More
More holistic,
So there's no encouragement of businessmen to develop businesses. So you have carpenters go to a certain level of maybe hire one man and thinking, yeah, I've made 100K. Yeah, go on, made more. But then you're watching other communities build £1 million businesses. But now this generation now, when you make the statement of you don't see us as business owners in £1 million businesses because we didn't push that thing. And now it's great, the spirituality, you talk about the prayer and it's great, and that's 100%. But at the same time, we need to be able to go, brother, listen, I got a venture. What's a venture, bro? You know what I'm saying? Oh, I want to be able to do this outside. Okay, we're gonna purchase a banqueting suite because we need a space for the funerals that we're having and do that. But we're not going to our spaces. We're hiring other spaces outside the community, but won't hire our sons. I mean, our sons don't get the jobs. They're feeling either depressed in the room and don't come out the room, or they end up with madness on the street.
So you know what I've forgive me. Obviously today is about manhood, but I want to say,
but that is manhood.
No, but I just had
Men need to get together.
I just had a thought that came to my head. I really want to share this. I've actually obviously I'm part of Affinity Xtra and I appreciate it. But this conversation has made me appreciate it a lot more, because if I could just explain that, if you go on Affinity Xtra, what you're saying about the lack of a holistic approach, I believe, like Affinity Xtra, whether by accident or intentionally, it kind of manifested that because even when you think about, say, a Christian radio station or a Christian television show, by and large, you would think it's praise and worship, then Bible studies, then
which is cool.
But what you can even what I like about Affinity Xtra is, let's have a sports show, let's have a politics show, let's have a business show, because what it shows is that it's not our worldview, our Christianity should be able to permeate in all ways, in all manners of life. And I think what I think you're saying in summary is a spirituality that doesn't speak to what we do on a Monday to Friday, that it is just come to God, sing a song, and go home. If it doesn't give what does, and I think that's what is required. Like, I think the compartment. I think what the word is, compartmentalizing, where it's like we do the spirituality here and we do everything else here. But but this truth weighs in on everything that we do. My faith says how I should treat my wife. My faith tells me how I should deal with my finances. Hey, my faith tells me that I should go to the gym and go for a run. Yeah, but body is a temple of the Holy Spirit. I think there's this idea of sacred and secular, maybe, that, okay, that's a secular topic. Huh? Like, Roger, why are you having a game show on Affinity Xtra? What's Christian about that? But we're supposed to involve God. I think I like this idea of, when people say, let's ban that sacred, secular, sometimes I'm like, what's that all about? But now I see it's like, our faith, we carry our faith with everything that we do. It's not that, when you go out and play in the pitch, you don't leave your faith in the pitch.
No.
And I think what you're saying is, men in your day were not raised to think, how do we take our faith, how do we put it on, like the word says, put on the Lord Jesus Christ. You don't put it off on a Sunday morning and then go back to work. You know what I mean? I like what does it mean to be a Christian in the workplace? And why this? What you're saying is this: the reason why we are where we are is because this, and as a pastor, I would like you to weigh in on this. What you're really saying here is, in summary, which is really powerful, Roger, talking about your day, is that there was a lot of sermons, but they weren't talking about the real.
Yeah, well.
There was nothing to apply Monday to Friday. It's Hail Mary, full of grace. All right,
Get to
taking my
heaven?
bread, my cup, and
Yeah.
but I don't think that was not the intention of the church. We're meant to carry what's there
Yeah, cool.
on a daily basis. Now, wow, this is
Go on,
amazing.
I
This is
think- I think-
amazing.
I think Emmanuel had
So
something to
with
say,
that
yeah.
in mind, how do you then shepherd men and women and brothers and sisters in such a way that it's like it's not just about singing songs and reading a Bible verse? How does it then manifest? How does it? We're talking about how then does it manifest? On a daily basis. Maybe you can weigh in on that as a pastor, as a young pastor of the millennial church pastor, shall we say?
Yeah. So I think this is a very good point, and this is something that I get excited about because this is what my passion is. And I'm hoping to do, by the grace of God, within the next few years anyway, to do some sort of PhD in this area in theology, where the talk of secular and sacred, where the church meets the culture. There's the church has over maybe the last 100, 200 years, we've had some familiar faces, people like C.S. Lewis, J.R. Tolkien, who were writers, who were thinkers, who were looking at how does when you think of, for me, I'm a big Lord of the Rings fan, and for me, that's one of the greatest movies to ever come out. I'm biased, yes, but that's but the writer was a believer, J.R. Tolkien. You look at C.S. Lewis, one of the most prolific writers that has come out from this country. He was a believer. He was a thinker. He was a thought leader. And when you think about their lives, and when you think about things like, for example, when you think about, I'm not sure, if people who listen to this will know, but if you look at elements of the Premier League, if you look at the elements of the English Football League, you will find the church's imprints in those things.
Yeah.
You'll see Southampton, you will see Bristol, you will see other, off the top of my head, I can't remember, but you will see
Aston Villa's founded by a church. Yeah.
They were founded by churches. When you look at kickoff times, the times of kickoff were specific. After morning mass, the kickoffs would be at midday or just after midday. Why? Because when the service is finished, we're going to get the men down to the local pitches and do that. You'll see the church's hand in a lot of different things. You will see Sainsbury's, the Sainsbury's family. Sainsbury's was a Christian person. Boots chemist. Boots was a believer. When you look at the Guinness family, ironically, yes, Guinness, beer, but they were believers as well. Yeah. So when you look, there's certain things, when you look across society, you see the influence of believers. And I think as the days have gone on, we've accepted, especially in the West, polarized view. Either we're not involved at all, or we're involved in such a flaky way that doesn't bear much influence. It's just kind of like, we're just tolerant, we're out there, but we're not leaving our mark for the sake of the kingdom. So to your question then, how do I do it? I do it by using scriptures like 1 Timothy 4:12, where I'm looking at my conduct, I'm looking at the way I live, I'm looking at how I do what I do, and making sure that's an example to the people that I serve. So, and it's ironic because when I actually started taking social media serious after wrestling with God again. So I think I have a strong history in wrestling with the Lord.
Your name's Jacob, yeah?
Why? I was like, why is it? I'm looking at my peers, and a lot of my peers who are preachers, all they put up on social media are preaching clips, sermons, stuff about their church, and especially when I'm talking about my peers, especially the peers that I know. Some of them are the most gifted rappers you will ever know. Some of them are some of the most gifted businessmen you will ever know. Some of them are the most gifted engineers you will ever know. Some of them are the best gamers you will ever know, but they never show it. So nobody would know. we just see their preaching clips. We just see clips of them praying and do all of these different things. And I said to the Lord, I said, Lord, this can't be the best I have to offer on social media. I love fashion. I love people. I love talking about community. I love talking about leadership. I love talking about, social stuff, social commentary, as you mentioned, rightfully mentioned before. So what am I meant to do? And the Lord was like, well, you've got a platform, start doing it. I did 100 days. I did a 100-day challenge in 2024. I posted for 100 days. And that was the year that everything changed for me, even though we're in 2026, but that's the year everything changed for me. When I started posting and I realized that my influence, there was influence for me outside of the church, where I didn't have to compromise on my Christian values, but I could speak to cultural matters and people would be willing to listen to me. Even yesterday, I was having a conversation with a friend, unbeliever, and he was like, bro, like, I'm so proud of what you've been doing the last couple of years. People want to listen to you. And I was like, bro, do you know how mad it is? Like, the last 2 years, some of my most viral clips have gone around, they've gotten around. And it's just by me talking about certain things that I see as convictions about manhood, about marriage, about relationships, about how we should do community, about how fatherhood, all of these things. And I'm like, wait, it's not, God didn't give me a different voice. It's always been there. But I now had to go, you know what? The only content that I'm posting can't only be sermons. So no, part of my content, yeah, I might post sermons here and there, but I have so much to offer. So now I'm doing that on social media. Now, when I'm outside and I'm getting engaged with, local government agencies, and they're talking about, how can we reduce crime, or, working with, Ministry of Justice, the work that I was able to do in prisons as well, in Felton. How did that come about? It didn't come about by church. One of my friends, funnily enough, close friends, who's in ministry as well. He was a pastor. He worked in Felton. He was a senior managerial figure. And he said, bro, I've been praying for such a long time. And the Lord said I should reach out to you. This was during the pandemic. He said, the Lord said I should reach out to you because there's a work for you that you need to do inside Felton. He said, the money's not great, but we need your voice inside here. I said, bro, you don't understand. That was a 17-year prophecy in motion. Someone had told me 17 years before that God was going to open up prisons for me. I knew pastors, I knew Christians who had access to prisons, and every time I would ask them, please, can I just come along? You're doing it, you're doing mission trips to different prisons across the UK. Can I come along? Can I tag along? I just want to know what it's like, especially when I was younger. Yeah, nothing. They were doing it. 17, 18 years later, God would work it in such a way that a friend of mine who had access inside was like, bro, we need your voice inside. I grabbed that opportunity with two hands and I came in like a bull raging in a stadium. When I hit the ground, I said, look, I'm here to do damage for the kingdom of God. The week that I got in, I said, take me to the hardest wings. I want to work with the hardest boys. We are going to do madness for the kingdom of God. Guess what? Normally especially during that time, that was COVID time. It was taking people 9 months to get their security clearance and their keys and all of that. Guys, it only took 6 weeks for me to get it. The minute I got my keys, it was a long day. Every wing possible, the hardest, the baddest, the craziest, the maddest boys in there, I was working with them. Not afraid. I was on free flow with these guys. We're talking about UK's most dangerous and violent criminals. This is Felton we're talking about. So this is UK's most high-profile young offenders institution. I'm in there and I'm dealing with young men and I'm seeing them the way God sees them. I'm reasoning with them like an older brother or an uncle would. And I'm getting through to them. We're making waves. But the reality is that a lot of churches, and this is probably where I end up, a lot of churches, they don't care about that. But the harvest is there. Yeah. The harvest is outside the four walls. And this is why when we think of the Manosphere, why they're winning in this present moment in time is because where we abdicated our responsibility, they raised their voices, they pitched up with their microphones, and now they have the loudest voices in those spaces.
I want to hit on this one because this is something which Bro, I back you 100% in this, and it goes back to let me go back to Black Lives Matter. Yeah, the biggest people from around me that was against that was the church. Yeah, the biggest people right now against the Manosphere is the church. But check this. My hit back to them, because we could have because I don't really jump up to when the church says to knock this off. I said to the church about Black Lives Matter, you have allowed other communities, actually before that, adopting kids. We moaned that kids were being adopted by couples that we wouldn't want kids to be adopted. But I'm saying, hold on a second. Do you advocate for that, for us to do it? If you don't do nothing about it, you know what I mean, if you're not there for the fatherless, the motherless, somebody else would do it.
100%.
So if you're not going to say anything that, oh, Roger, we don't mind that you're 10 times more likely to be stopped by a policeman because you're not black, because you're not white. We don't mind in 2025 that happens. We don't mind that your women are more likely to die. Facts. 3 to 5 times more likely to die in 2025. We don't mind. So somebody else has to be outside to bring and say that. Now, young men are depressed, feeling low, not hearing nothing because men block our voice. Our brothers block our voice. And I don't care how many brothers want to blacklist me. I always say to people, I'd rather be Robin Hood than King Richard sitting on his throne. That's me. You know what I'm saying? And when I did a Affinity Xtra, I said, I'm sick and tired of seeing a bunch of bogus people looking like me on GMTV, forgive me, GMTV, you know what I'm saying, that do not represent my personal biblical view about how to handle race issues, how to handle manosphere and whatever. So what we're going to do, we have to crack up and get my mic, and it's not a popular road. I get criticized to the other day, said, Roger, start talking more gospel talk. You talk too much normal talk. You know what I mean? I talk too much normal talk. But the problem is, guys, there's so many young men out there. There's so many men out, not young men, men. You know what I mean? I do a fitness over 40s club. You think that's just about just getting fit? It's good, but it's sitting down with men. You know what I'm saying, bro? Like, you know, we're the most successful team ever, bro, in the Christian League, a black team. You know, yeah, you can say, Roger, you did a great job. But the thing is, I haven't received a penny from the Black-led church ever from since 2020, never, and that goes back to 2000. They never gone and said, here's more than, they never even give me more. I don't think I've received more than a $5. You see, and that to me is embarrassing because we've approached.
Again,
they all know me.
It's a distinction. It's a distinction, sacred and secular, secular and secular. And let me say this: I think I see why. And we're gonna get into. I want to get into Manosphere, what they get right and what they get wrong. But I think what I'm hearing in summary is the reason why the bad voices are louder and more prominent is because the light is dim. The light is dim. When the light is dim, there will be other voices that will fill in that are not good voices. They will say some truth, but it will be filled with a lot of poison.
That's why the Manosphere is winning right now.
What's good to have 95% good water and a little poison? The poison will spoil the whole thing. And I think this is what we're saying here. Gaemechanger, I'll let you weigh in, but let me say this. I keep on saying this. One of my favorite podcasts is Black Beret. And back in the day, in their podcast, what they would do is they would the introduction of every interview, you would hear a Scottish pastor called Alistair Beggar say this: Christianity is not just talking about Christian topics. It's about building a worldview in which you can engage with the rest of the world, and that's what.
So why are we uncomfortable?
That's what we need to do. When we just praise and worship, read the Bible, if it has no effect, if we're not, and even as a pastor, you guys as pastors, you guys have a huge challenge here in that your responsibility is not just preach, but help people. I like what you said about biblical literacy, having the word in the people that you shepherd, and see that word embedded in their hearts in such a way that they manifest as lights in the dark place. Otherwise, we're just playing church. We need to stop playing church. If it's not a Sunday morning Christian thing anymore, if we need to make an impact, it's like, okay, what word do you have for me? What word can I read? How does it impact me in such a way that then I can be a light in the darkness? Because if not that, that's why the false lights are shining bright. That it's really that in summary. And so the pastors here have a weight. It's like, not only are we giving people the word, but what's the application? Because if we don't get into application, not into just how we do Sunday worship, but how to live Monday to Friday, that's why the bad voices are loud. That's why and they'll continue being loud so long as we have this, as you have said, and good luck with the PhD, sacred secular divide. And I'm not here for it. I think if we need to be the light. We need to shine, and we need not to be scared. You need to continue doing what you do. You need to let me just encourage you both, because I really love you both dearly. I'd say, forget what the haters say. Continue doing what you're doing, because that's what we're called to do, to be a light in the darkness, to speak in the darkness, not just someone. No. How does it manifest in our day-to-day? Otherwise, our faith is in vain.
Yeah.
You know.
So what allows, guys? For me, it really says to me that there's a structural issue. I decided, unfortunately, they wanted me to be leadership, and I said, you know what, you guys can't even discuss doctrine properly, you know what I mean? Because I come from a different background, and you know what I mean. So when you start discussing doctrine, I'm like, yo, dudes, like, I'm not here to I'm not here to do no Council of Nicene for 20 years here, and do things right. But ultimately, what I think infrastructurally, churches are not set up for. And I went to Norway, and this shocked me. And I'm looking at our community, because a lot of our churches are not. The new churches are like yourself. You set up a fellowship, but a church is up to, you would say, up to the 2000s have been predominantly franchises of churches which are from outside our community, and that's what they are, the franchises. Their interest. I went to Norway and I saw that they had a coffee shop built onto the church. Another church it was the cinema. So basically, the cinema, their version of Odeon was a church. So on a Sunday they have the service in there, but in the week it's a cinema. They have the coffee shops in there. So I'm thinking, hold on, I can see the church embedded in community, left, right, and center in this village in Norway. But when I go to my village, in Birmingham, what got left out? Is it the fact that basically, and it's sad, because as much as I'm very passionate about my community, I have to ask the question. It's amazing how culturally we gather together on a Sunday, but in the week we work with anybody, But when it comes to our worship, we separate ourselves very much easier. But the thing is, we have, I'm not saying fail is a very generalistic term, because there are great people doing great works throughout the UK. But infrastructurally, it takes for a man to have that heart in that place. The structures do not push you to have that heart. The structures don't lead you in preventative care. Prison work, bro, love it, fantastic. But I'm all into prevention. So praying for sickness is great, but all on to take care of your temple. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? You know what I mean? Cut out, eat as much as you want Chinese. Yeah, because that used to be the best place to meet our Christian brothers and sisters after church. You know what I'm saying? You know, straight out the eat as much as you want Chinese place.
You're making me hungry now.
You know what I'm saying? But the thing is, in the Bible, it speaks against that. You know what I'm saying? The best. It's amazing how we talk about how great the amazing financially the Jewish communities and the Islamic where they look at financially and how they treat the money. We use the same book that they use the principles from. So how on earth has Christianity been infested by I don't know if it's capitalism or whatever approach has really
It's just a Sunday thing. Roger, for a lot of people, no, bro, no, it's a decision. No, it's a decision. And I said to my wife, yeah,
the same.
I said to my wife, yeah, I'm not like if I didn't do all these Jesus talks, yeah, I'm just any man. And that's how I want to be seen as. I'm just any man, but my Christianity is not just Sunday morning. It's I'm not going to insult my friend, or I'm not going to insult someone I don't like because I'm called to love my neighbor. I'm going to be a Christian Monday to Saturday. I'm just that is the issue. We're just Sunday Christians, bro. That is the issue. We just Sunday, that's it. Now, and also, when we go on the Sunday, we don't have enough to learn. Sunday is actually not enough. Discipleship. It's discipleship. We make converts, we don't make disciples. That is oh my gosh, that is the bottom line. That's why people are flocking to Andrew Tate. He has disciples because we're not making any.
Do you feel
it's discipleship? It's discipleship, bro.
But
we're not intentional about life on life, discipleship, modeling to each other. Really thinking about okay, how does this manifest Monday to Saturday? Not just your Sunday, wearing your Sunday best, going to church, doing shaking a leg, worship service, listen to the scripture, sprinkle bread, drink the wine, and then go about your business. It has to have an effect, and it can't just be a Sunday morning. It's an everyday thing. It's a 4:12 Monday come. What does the word say about this situation? What does the word say? And if it's a gray area, okay, how do we think? You know what I mean? That's why it's got to be that way. Otherwise, it's the Andrew Tates, it is the feminists, it's the extremists of all kinds, from the left who say men should be like women, to the other side, which is hyper-masculine and just derogatory towards women. These voices will become louder because we're not intentional about. It's just, oh my gosh! It's a discipleship.
Okay. No.
It's discipleship.
Hear me. I agree.
It's just blowing my mind, bro. Discipleship.
I can see it.
I'm a disciple.
Okay, but hear me out, though. Hear me out. And I totally hear about the discipleship thing, yeah. But in the so it's what comes out your heart.
But it's also. It's not just disciple. But when I mean discipleship, it's also just the way. It's also holistic discipleship of read your Bible, but do go for a run and go for a jog and take care of your body and take care of your finances and learn how to love a woman and be emotionally intelligent. If your wife says I'm fine, she might not really be fine. You maybe need to ask her again. You know what I mean? It's those things. If your wife says to you I'm fine, more like and she looks upset, she's not fine. Speak to her. You know what I mean? It's just
real talk.
It's a spirituality that's holistic. It's how do I treat my body? How do I treat my wife? How do I treat my kids? What do I watch? What do I not watch? And the word is there for us to guide us. But if we're not very explicit about how the word connects to how we live, that disconnect leaves a gap for the poor voices.
But here, I know what you're saying. But ultimately, as well, guys, and I think this is where the Manosphere really kicks in. When you look at iShow Speed, when you look at Andrew Tate and all these guys out there, he's not iShow Speed is not Manosphere, as far as I'm concerned. But he's a dude out there which people follow. Yeah, he can get in a car and drive all around the way.
Bare farms in Kenya flocking in, boy. When he went to my country, Kenya, everyone was running after him.
But the thing is,
why?
The thing is, before you would see Ronald Bunky do that. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, in the past and whatever, we see ministers do that. But now, the new ministers are the iShow Speed. The new ministers are the Andrew Tate. And now the truth of of certain elements of the gospel, which is prosperity gospel, and the truth of these elements has made our product very, very poor right now. And at the same time, and it's not truth, But my thing is you talk about doing a life daily. There's daily accountability, but it's how we do the church. You know what I'm saying? At church, you are saying we do Sunday's church, but how do you feed your brethren? We put them in some sort of drug which they can last till Wednesday. They can last till so on. We don't teach people how to. Right, we're going into COVID. We not. Can you live off? We use the fresh mangoes from a tree, but can you live off dried mangoes? Have you put dried mangoes aside? Have you? You might not be able to come to church for 6 months. Have you got things in place to keep you safe throughout the week and and whatsoever?
Are you financially literate? Are you financially literate?
But there's but spiritually as well, you got to be able to. No one's there every day, yeah. And unfortunately, a man of God, a God who picks up, like, we're on this podcast now. People are looking at our faces. We walk on road, and we're representing. This is Christianity is hard, because we're representing big time. So my question is to us, firstly, to ourselves. When I'm around the footballer guys, do they expect me to cuss two bad words when I'm ready, or are they expecting me to under pressure to face the certain abuses and then respond in a correct character? They might think it weak, but they see the strength because they see the produce of me still being here. It's about, bro, you go into the prisons, and let's be real, when you're in prison, you can see a fake dude straight away when it comes in. You can sniff. You can spirit wise, you can just sniff the fakery. They gravitate. I have children come up to me thinking, I can't get rid of these kids because they can sense safety in you. You know what I'm saying? You know what I mean? So on. So I'm going, right, guys, men who are listening in who are of faith. I challenge two guys. We ain't met. We're the same age. I said, bro, are we passionate about meeting up with our brothers on a real level? We talk about it. When you bump into a brethren and you ain't seen him for ages and in faith, you go, yeah. We should hook up more often. Are you really good at? Are we really gonna meet up? Are we gonna be intentional to impact our children's children? Are we gonna build anything that will take care? Instead of sit down there and moan on Zoom phone calls and all these things that we do and moan in church and all these things that we've done, really great things. Do we step up and take care of business? And I'm afraid there's very little men that look like us. And I'm talking who are of faith that take people outside of their household seriously. That's why the boys are running the road.
There's
you know
a gap. There's a gap, man.
So you are meant to be there for it, but they ignore them, and I've seen this in my life, bro. Yeah, and the men who took care of it, when they had daughters and they moved out the ends, they send them to the posh private schools and do all that stuff. Get them away from all the rest of us, but rest of keep away from the ends where they come from, and then later on, they yearn to go back to their community, and they let's be real, the link up with what the dad didn't want them to link up in the first place. So you left where you come from, and it's like, bro, but if you'd stayed, and not so much in the community, but if you stayed and invested into young men as you grew, listen, I'm not calling out names, but I had somebody. I was at engineering. I almost got a first class in my engineering degree. I never knew somebody in my church. I never knew until early this year, last year, but somebody was actually an engineer 10, 15 years in. You know what I mean? In my church.
He could have taught you, bro.
He could have pushed me in the right place.
Oh my gosh,
working was Rolls Royce. No chance.
Here's an example. I was an average student that I am an average student, in the sense that what the difference between me passing and failing is maybe doing a bit more revision.
Yeah.
Do you know what my mom did? Oh, Ron is a youth leader. He knows geography. He's a geologist. You sit down with him and do some GCSE together. Yeah. Oh, he knows. On my mom, I know math. I'm gonna. It's that. Investment.
Oh, we're gonna be open for it. We're gonna be available for it because I know that.
Otherwise, and the reason why we're saying this, and I think we're gonna segue now, and we're gonna end to really just highlight the profile of the Manosphere, what is right and what is wrong, and how the kingdom comes in. We're going to conclude the conversation in just a second.
Yeah.
But I'm saying, I think the point that you're making, and Gamechanger, before we move on to the next point, I'll let you weigh in on what we've just discussed. What you were saying is the reason why it's a necessity is because it is not that if we do not become, if we're not willing to invest in the people coming after us, it's not that there will be no investment at all. It's that there will be people who will come and invest, but the fruit is bad.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? So it's not, there will be a replacement. So it's either it's truth will be, something will be spoken to these young folks. The question is, who is speaking to them? And I think that's the main point. So before we get onto the last for those who have been listening thus far, thank you so much for enjoying this conversation. But I'm enjoying it, by the way. I'm enjoying it.
We know.
But Gamechanger, before we kind of highlight specifically the Manosphere, what is right and what's wrong, and how the gospel and Christianity speaks to it, maybe you can weigh in on what Roger and I just discussed from your perspective as a pastor, and also as a pastor's kid, someone who's lived in the church, who's done church, who's seen church, who's leading church. Weigh in on what we've just said.
Yeah, no, thanks for that. I think I've just been enjoying, listening to you two. As much as I love talking about it, you guys could have done this podcast without me.
No. We don't. Me and Roger, we don't agree on much, but we agree on that. We debate, but we funny enough agree on that. We needed you here, bro. That we don't agree. We don't agree on a lot, do we? No. We don't. Trust me. We're polar opposites. So the fact that we agree is a big thing.
Amen.
Wow, that's powerful. Is that it's the game changer effect. But I think you know what, listening to both of you speak passionately about it, was like I said, I was just comfortable listening to that, because for me, this is my language. Whenever I go somewhere and people hear me speak, a lot of the time when people come to me afterwards, maybe there's a chance to maybe catch up or just have a 5-minute chat or whatever. It always ends with, there's something about the way that you speak that's very convicting. There's something about the way you speak that's very convincing. There's something about the way that you speak that makes us feel like you know what you're talking about. And I think it goes back to God, yes. Because of the faith that I have, it empowers me to speak, to live, to act the way that I do. So I know that, yes, I have a strong speaking ability, but it's not just resting on my laurels and people know that I can speak. No, when I'm speaking, I'm lending my voice to speak on matters, that are big on God's heart. And God wants to be seen outside of the four walls. I think of scriptures where it talks about, where it says the angels, cry, holy, holy, holy. The earth is full of his glory. And it doesn't say the church is full of his glory. It says the earth is full of his glory. It means that when the angels look around, it means that when the hosts of heaven look around, they can see God in everything. In everything they can see, in whom he's in all things. And so that same God who created all things and is in all things wishes to engage with humanity on that level. And I think the reason why, and Bro Roger, I really appreciate what you do. And more importantly, I appreciate your passion, because what speaks more to this matter is when people will believe you because of how passionately you speak on this matter. It's not like you're trying to use eloquence or, stuff to get away with it. I can believe that your heart is in what you're saying by hearing you speak now.
And it's not just words, it's action as well. It's not just action for Roger, it's action. He actually puts in the work that people don't see. Roger puts in work.
Right. So that's I have to say that, you know what I mean? And for me, I'd love to, you know, to connect outside of this because, you know, if there's a way that I can support what you're doing, I would love to be able to support what you're doing. I don't need anything from it, but just to see and witness the sort of man that you are. You're a man that deserves to be celebrated. You're a man that deserves to be championed. And I think for me, why I resonate with you so much is because I'm big on reform. You know, I'm not, you know, the traditional, you know, cloth as it is when it comes to church. Yes, I'm a PK, but one thing that my parents knew from early was that, and something that my dad says to me often, or he reminds me of often, is the fact that he says, son, I've always known that you were born a reformer. You were never born to fit in. You were always born to do something that's going to shift and shape culture in church. So me, as I'm speaking to you guys now, I know that the work that I'm doing, even though I have a strong presence within the four walls of church, but I have a calling to call God's body outside of the four walls and make this missional assignment that we've been given. Go ye into the world. Preach the good news. Make disciples of all nations. We can't make disciples of all nations if we're locked in a room, if we're locked in our Bible studies together. Go into all nations, which means you do the work in your corporate spaces. I'll give you an example. I was telling a friend of mine recently, but it happened 2 years ago. In my workplace, work in a global international company. This will blow your mind. This was Easter 24. One of my colleagues who is from the LGBTQ community found out that I was a pastor via social media. He went to go and tell someone from the Diversity, Equity and Inclusion Network that, yo, do you know that this guy's a pastor and he's proper down to earth, We need to get him to talk about the Christian faith. We need to get him to talk about the meaning of Easter to the believer. I was on holiday. I took some time off, obviously, because of my daughters. They had time off school and whatnot. First day I got back, he sent me a message on Teams. Was like, "Oh, yeah, I've put you forward to speak about, you know, Easter. I'm sure you'll be happy to do it." And in my mind, I was like, "Wait, but who sent me to go and put my name forward?" I wasn't trying to put myself in that position. And also, like, when I go to work, I don't need people to know that I'm a pastor. I'm more than happy for people to know I'm a believer. I want them to know that I'm a believer, but a pastor, I don't tell anybody that. So the fact that you knew and you've gone around telling people, I'm like, bro, why did you do that? Because now people are gonna start acting funny. You know, the funny and Holy Spirit said to me, take that opportunity and share a word about Easter. It's a company-wide thing. So we had colleagues from Europe, Middle East, Africa, hundreds of people, just to hear me speak about the Christian faith and Easter. How did it happen? It was an unbeliever that put me forward. I mean, he has some connections to the church, but it was an unbeliever that put me forward. I had colleagues who were Muslim were like, wow, we never knew that, you know, you were so passionate about God and we'd love to ask you more questions about your faith, X, Y, and Z. That's as an example. I can give you several examples of people who are not believers who have asked me to lend my voice from a Christian perspective in spaces outside of the four walls of church. Why is this important? Because our faith should empower us. It's not a restricting power. It's actually an empowering power that allows us to step out and go beyond. Go as just like Jesus did. Zacchaeus, I'm coming to your house today. We're breaking bread today, bro. Come down from the tree. I want to fellowship with you today. I want to get to know you. I want to know what you're all about. I want to know what your context is all about. I want to sit down and fellowship with you. Our heart has to be that. So me, if I go back to myself, me doing what I'm doing now is because Jesus needs to be seen in the world. They need to be seen in the areas where I'm talking about masculinity. They need to hear about what I think about family. They need to think about, you know, if I'm talking about sports or racism or whatever I'm talking about, when I'm speaking, and I'm speaking with this passion and this conviction, and I'm speaking with this clarity, people are going to be like, what's this guy all about? What's he really all about? It's because I carry a burden. And that's what I hear from the both of you. It's the burden. And I think that's the difference.
Yeah.
If you don't have the burden, you will be comfortable. As you said, bro, you'll be comfortable doing this Sunday. You'll be comfortable being a Sunday Christian, being a Sunday believer. But if you've got that burden to go, you know what? This isn't good enough. I am happy. I am fed here. I'm even being discipled here. But my discipleship demands that I follow Jesus. And Jesus sent the disciples. He didn't ask them to stay in fellowship together. He sent them, go 2 by 2. I'm sending you there. Thomas, you go to Asia. You guys go there. You guys go to this part of the world. And they went. He sent them and they went. They weren't comfortable. Us, it's like the Christianity we received is the comfortable one where it's like, okay, cool, after church, we have giggles and laughs, you know, we might go for food afterwards, but there's no pressure to go, you know what? That person that just came for the Sunday service, go and see what that person is doing after Sunday service. Guess what? They don't have money. They don't know where they're going to have their dinner tonight. And you've got enough there. And you're just like, you know what? Don't go home. Let's go and grab something to eat. Let's go for a coffee. Or in the middle of a week, you know that there's this brother that's there. He doesn't really engage as much. Yo, bro, would love to have a chat with you. Middle of the week, whether it's a phone call or meet up in the town center, whatever it is, let's do that. Unless there's a burden and unless there's a willingness to make the sacrifice, because that's another word that I want to throw into the conversation, sacrifice. Guess what? A lot of men aren't willing to make the sacrifice. As a pastor, I tell some of my men this often. There was a time when I first got married, 2016. When I first got married, the church that I was serving at before we planted City Worship, I was one of the senior leaders there, and the Holy Spirit said to me, "I want you to get like a lot of the young men, and when I mean young men, I'm like secondary school boys, and I want you to open up your home and invite them in, and that's PlayStation
as a newlywed."
They want, so yeah, as a newlywed. 2016, the year I got married. I opened my home.
I'm sure you had a few conversations with your wife there. I'm sure you had.
You know what? She was absolutely fine.
Okay.
But she knows the husband that she married. She knows this is who I am. She knows my point. So she didn't even feel away. In fact, she went into London with her girls. She was fine. But I invited the boys.
Just make sure the house is tidy after they left. Yeah, I'm not here to clean. Just make sure I'm not here. I'm not hovering crumbs of pieces of 11 teenagers. They can clean up on themselves.
All of that was done.
Bless her.
But it was that, and making that space. You know what? At that time, a couple years before, I had like sold my PlayStation PS4 at the time or whatever, and Holy Spirit was like, "Yeah, you're gonna get a PS5," and I was like, "Yo, like money's tight at this moment in time." Yeah. Like, but this is what I want you to do. So I went to Curry's. Yeah, I went to Curry's. I got PS5, bought 2 pads, bought FIFA and some other games, and I invited these young boys over to my house. And I invited 2 of the young men that I was mentoring, who I knew that they were being prepared for ministry as well. And I said, yeah, you guys are going to be with me. You're going to support me as we do this thing. And that became a regular thing. And I realized 10 years on, because that was 2016, 10 years on, and I realized, because many times when I get invited to men's spaces and I'm speaking or I'm facilitating sessions or whatever it is, I realize the average man is not willing to make a sacrifice. I realize the average man is just insular. He's worried about him and his own problems. But one of the greatest areas about manhood, about brotherhood, community, is not going to change until we as individuals go, I need to play my part. And I can play my part by making a sacrifice. Last week, one of my brothers, I haven't seen him in a long time, lives about 2.5 hours away. He said, bro, you know what? I haven't seen you in a long time. I'm going to drive all that way to come and see you. And we're going to go out. We're going to have something to eat. We sat down and I had one of the greatest conversations with him but he had to drive nearly 3 hours to come down to check me so we can go out. That is the price that we're going to have to pay for Brotherhood.
You did not come down to Birmingham to do this podcast.
100%.
Joking.
The next
I'm
episode,
joking.
most likely that's what's got to happen. And I don't mind. Probably stay overnight. You guys can show me around or whatever
Much
it is.
appreciated.
That's the price that has to be paid
Yeah.
for Brotherhood.
Yeah.
For the next generation, are you willing to, if you're allowed, if your wives allow you, your spouses allow you to make space in your home? And if you can't, maybe then we can go to our church leaders and go, sir, please, can we use this space to do something different? Can we have a games night? Can we watch, the final day of the league
Come on.
at church after service? Can we do that? Are you happy for us to do that?
Yeah.
Are you happy for us to do, a men's event, that's got nothing to do with preaching or whatever? We're just doing a men's event. This summer, we're going to do a men's barbecue. Or we're going to go on a men's retreat. Men stuff, men talk, just finances.
Or can we, like Lutheran Christian Fellowship, have a soccer fan week where we get kids in the community to play football on the half term, and then we invite them to come to church to pick up their titles, and inadvertently we can share about Jesus while they pick up their titles for a participation trophy. Or why don't we do a drama fan week where anyone's interested in acting can come and learn a bit of acting, and we can give them a gift on a Sunday, and inadvertently in that service we share something about Jesus. It's just about, again, creativity and it's all the kind of things there. But let's conclude with the final chapter of this conversation, and I'll let Gaemechanger I'll start on this. So we've talked about the reason why the bad voices are louder. It's because because the light is dim. The fake light is bright because the real light is dim. So obviously, let me just say that the thing that really inspired me to have this conversation with you is a Netflix documentary with the documentary guy Louis Theroux. Fun fact: I actually, when I worked as a content producer in London, I actually worked in the same building as him. Not disrespecting Louis Theory, but he's a very antisocial guy. Like, he wouldn't even say hi. He's one of those guys who's just so focused. Like, you'd say hi to him, he'll blank you, bro. Like, he's just, he's not a really sociable guy. But anyway, he did a remarkable documentary about the Manosphere. And obviously, the red pill, it has it's a mixed bag. It's good and bad, but it has its appeal. Pastor Emmanuel, aka Gaemechangers, give us a synopsis of what you say about the Manosphere, what is attractive, what is good, what is bad, what is a poison, and what is really. Maybe we can conclude at the end by telling us what is truly a man from a Christian biblical perspective. So take it away.
Yeah, I'll just start off. I mean, we're wrapping up now, so I'll just start off and just throw some of the first thoughts that come to mind. I think I'll start with how the Manosphere has become appealing. It speaks to the issues that men face, the issues that have been overlooked, the issues that have not been addressed effectively by society, by governments, by, in our context, the church, where we've not addressed it. It's speaking to those areas. It's speaking to the grief. It's speaking to the trauma. It's speaking to the rejection. It's speaking to the failures. And men are presenting ideas that help men feel empowered, even though the messages are negative and toxic. They make men feel like they're empowered to be something, to feel more than what they are or what they're going through, or their realities that they may have faced in the past. And so when it's giving them language, right? But the problem with language is whoever gets to tell the story first is the one who's allowed to frame the narrative. And I know both of you can understand that, especially from a creative perspective, from a storytelling perspective, you understand that. So whoever gets to tell the story first gets to frame, you know, the landscape for manhood and masculinity. And that's what we see in the Manosphere, where we see these figures come in and frame it like women are our enemies, women are against us, society is against us, our backs are against the wall, we have to fight back, we have to dominate women, we have to subdue women, we have to subjugate women, we have to disrespect, violate women. We, you know, I did a post today where a guy was like, you know, we're trying to get to the traditional man status, but before we get there, sleep around, and then through sleeping around, that's how you sift out who's your wife and who's not your wife. These are, what's his name? Myron from I forgot what silly podcast he does. Myron, I think Myron Gaines or something like that. Is it Too Hot to Handle? I can't remember the name of his popular Red Pill podcast. But imagine going around telling men that the way you find the right woman is by sleeping around. And then you will know by her values that, you know, this is the right one and this is the wrong one. This is what a lot of men are doing. And then, okay, you know, make yourself look presentable. Go to the gym. You have to look buff. You have to But it's not actually for yourself. It's not for your well-being. It's so that you can look a particular way and be, you know, likable and, you know, eye candy for women. It's like, no, that's not why men need to look after their bodies. Men need to look after their bodies because that's how God designed it, that men should be disciplined with their bodies. As the Bible says, your body is a temple. So we need to do it for ourselves first and not for women. And even in this conversation, and I think this is what I find interesting, is I say this often, we need to, in a lot of men conversation, we need to remove women from it. Not because women are not important, but I find that a lot of the times we have conversation about men always find a way to bring women into the conversation. Yeah. And we need to start by looking at how man first treated man in the first place. So for me, scripturally speaking, I look at Cain and Abel. That's where for me, a lot of, yes, we know about Adam and Eve, yes. But then the next story following on from that is Cain and Abel. What's the scenario there? Two brothers, one kills another. The key point in that story is when God comes to confront Cain, one of the things that Cain responds to God is saying, when God says to Cain, where's your brother? He says, am I my brother's keeper? That's one of the biggest, like when I go around and speak a lot, I use that story a lot because this is how society, that is a reflection of society when it comes to men. I treat you, I don't really care about what you've got going on. Whereas God demands that no man should be alone. And yes, it started with man and woman, but the principle remains the same, because then when we fast forward to the church, Paul gives us a beautiful understanding of the beauty of the body. We need one another. We are interconnected. That's how God wired us. So men need men. In society, boys need men. How do boys grow into men? You need men around you. How do men get better? By being around other men. Proverbs 27:10. Iron, as iron sharpens iron, so a man sharpens the countenance of his friend. This is why we need men. So when we stop focusing on women and start focusing on the man as an individual and then how men interact with men, then in my opinion, my personal opinion, it will then positively impact how we then engage with women. When Adam knew who he was, when Eve was brought to him, he could recognize who she was. And now what's happening is that red pill culture, manosphere culture, all of this incel culture, all of that kind of stuff is giving us a warped view of manhood. And it's almost bringing it's cunning and it's crafty and it's presenting itself as empowerment, but really it's self-destruction.
Yeah.
It really empowers self-hatred.
Go deeper.
It really empowers self-hatred, because if the evidence of being empowered by another man makes you hate women, bruh, that's self-hatred. Because even scripture shows us, no man if a man hates his own body, he's crazy. When Paul's talking about husband and wife, no man hates his own body.
That's
So
how we
if
should love our
if your
wives.
wife,
He who loves his wife loves himself. In other words, I like what you're saying that how you treat your spouse is how you treat yourself. You don't hate yourself. That's a very great point actually.
so this is why I say if men get it right with men, we will get it right with women. That's why though I believe we need to get right with women, there's a conversation in that, but it's a multi-layered conversation. Right now, men need to get it right with themselves first, and men need to get it right with other men, community, brotherhood. Then, as an overflow, when we start to, I wouldn't say redefine, but when we readdress the true identity of men, then we can start to talk about women in the right way. We're not going to degrade them. We're not going to disrespect them. We're not going to violate them. We're not going to perpetuate violence towards them or girls. We're not going to create systems that try and put them down, but we're going to empower them in our own way because we see in ourselves, we are loved. We are chosen. We are called by God. We have a purpose in God. And when we do that, I feel like that probably answers some areas of your question. So the Manosphere, it gives language to where men are at, in that it speaks to where they're at, but it provides them the wrong solutions. It makes women the enemies, and it makes us as men some sort of idols. We're the special species and we're meant to dominate and rule and have dominion and spread our seed with, many women as long as you can. I don't know if you guys have been hearing about this new narrative about, how, some of these male influencers, these red pill influencers are encouraging men to, impregnate as many women as possible so that their seed can spread. And, that can preserve your legacy. That's what it is. So imagine, look at the language, preserving your legacy by impregnating many women. It's the language. It's how you frame the story. And storytelling is big bucks on social media. And these guys, guess what? They have the money. So when you watch the Manosphere documentary, you would see, what's his name? HS Tiki Toki or whatever his name is. He's got money. He's got clippers and editors that live in his house. He's doing a live stream. Before the end of the live stream, he's got multiple clips, multiple shorts. They're going on YouTube, they're going on TikTok, it's going on Instagram, it's going on their streaming platforms. And we're here. This is where I want to bring the church back into it. They've got the money, they've got the resources. Imagine little old me that's trying to do my thing for the kingdom. I don't have the money. I don't have an editor who can live with me to click. If I wanted to start streaming now, I don't have that resource. By the grace of God, one day, if it's necessary, let me have a team of editors and clippers and whatever, because that's what we're going to need to match. And I'm not afraid to say that, brothers. I see it. I know that if we're going to change the narrative, God needs certain men who are going to be in positions like that where you have the resources.
Who's going to, just connecting what you said before, who's going to be the new C.S. Lewis? Who's going to be the new Tolkien? Who's going to be the new C.S. Lewis? Who's going to be the new Tolkien? Who's going to create the stories that shape the culture? And why is it that who is a C.S. Lewis now? Who is a believer now who is not, by the way, not his respect, is not pastor, evangelist, Billy Graham. By the way, respect, love for that, if that's your lane and that's your calling, cool. But who are the artists who paint metaphorical pictures, but embedded in it is a truth there that people can say, I love that, I can identify that. I don't know where it's from. Obviously, we know it's coming from the Bible, but boy, where are they? Where are they?
That's
why
we're having this conversation.
It's who's telling the story, who's got the story, and who's telling the story right. So, I mean, that's a challenge to all of us all. Who's the new C.S.? Who's going to be the new C.S. Lewis? Who's going to be the new Tolkien? Who's going to be the poets of our age? And by the way, I'm sorry, I'm just speaking on the random here. Forgive me if I'm wrong. I mean, if we had that mindset as a scene, obviously there were some valid points made, but would we really feel bad about what, say, Lecrae is try to do. Yes, he made some mistakes and he admitted, but you know, when he tried to bring the crossover and try to be that voice, obviously he even admits himself that maybe maybe I shouldn't do this and do that. But there's something about the church folks that are like, no, that's so risque. But that's nothing new. We have a president there. We have the C.S. Lewis and the Jail Token, and many people are inadvertently enjoying these books from these believers.
Yeah.
And yet here we are. Lecrae is doing this and that, bro. He's not doing nothing new. He's doing what we're called to do, to tell the story. You know what? To I like. There's something that people say to speak about what is rightly true and beautiful. Otherwise, the beauty that was being displayed is skewed, right? It's
but
mind-blowing.
what I would say is, you know, people are listening in still. Being a Christian content, you know, you do get viral content and viral hits and some things that you don't expect. But my unfortunate situation is when it comes to the algorithm, with so many people that are in inverted commas of faith. When you talk truth like this, you rather listen to fake news. You don't say, out of millions of, there's a lot of Christians in this country. Yeah. If you talk sense in a Christian sense, you get 5 views. If you talk ratchet, as Road, you the same Christians are watching it. I watch content on both sides, 100%. But I don't believe there's an intention in our Christian culture to support and follow and understand the importance of following when it comes to content. It's important that I follow. So they and this is not a conversation now, but ultimately Christian nationalism will more likely get a follow from the Christian community than Christian social change groups that are trying to present things going on there. And it's nothing, I'm not saying they shouldn't follow that, but that has a more of a influence in that. I'm not saying that's right or wrong or whatsoever, but I've seen them follow that in its millions and go and sing stuff there. But the moment you go, oh, we're going to be talking about Manosphere, we talk about Manosphere the movie, but I watched Adolescence, which is a clear indicator of the damage it's causing children right now. Yeah, the best way to knock these guys off is to stop voting for them by giving them airspace on our YouTube channels. Follow what we should be better. So for me, what is our practices of our people?
But the question is, what are the viable alternatives then? Because you might tell somebody, I think
that's what we're doing here. So no, what I'm saying to you, if we go, if we get million subscribers tomorrow, it's a game changer. End of the day, so we're competing against guys who get YouTube pays them. So if YouTube saw us as a viable support, we'll get the investment in.
And can I also say, correct me if I'm wrong, guys, but I believe we're all fans of Christian hip hop. I think Christian hip hop has made a dent in that. A lot of people are looking at us. A lot of people are loving what we're producing. Obviously, there was a time, say, with Christian hip hop with like our own hub, but then we start saying, now wait, we're called to be a light, and then now we're seeing No Big Deal getting invited to this and that show, and Lecrae doing this, and they're dropping freestyles, and what do you see, bro? Like, I'm feeling this guy. He's not swearing, he's not doing that, but bro, he's killing it. I'm hearing a lot of people. Forrest Frank, like people are really liking. Like just how he does it, and a lot of people hate on him too. Oh no, toxic positivity, but bro, like he's hitting on something, and people love it, bro. I've seen Muslims. But you see, these are the people that we hate on. I've seen Muslims reacting positively to say what you want about Hillsong, and that's a totally different conversation. I've seen Muslims reacting, crying to Oceans. They don't know what's going on. They're listening to Oceans and they're looking at the words and the lyrics and people. I've seen a Muslim woman crying. She's like, I have no idea why this song is moving me. And yet these are the very people, oh, Forrest Frank is this, Forrest Frank is that. And yet, but you know, again, those people, but again, I think those people who I think a lot of people who are really about that life, they get hit a lot from the religious folk, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, the Pharisees didn't like Jesus. Well, he was starting out. I don't know. There seems to be a trend here where it's like there's religious folks who just want to be in your Bible, do my thing, and then the people who are a bit about that life, pushing the boundaries, and yet they make their mistakes. But boy, do we want to dig at them, you know, when they make a mistake. And it's like, well, at least it's like it's very easy to criticize somebody playing the ball. It's a totally different thing being in the pitch playing the ball. And I feel a lot of people, is this, is that? What are you doing? Oh, nothing. I'm just commenting on how people are playing. Great.
You know what
wow, great contribution. At least he's trying.
You know what it is, Les? Let me add to that analogy to make it probably a bit more like relevant. That's one thing, playing on the pitch, but I think it's your 1-1, it's 1-1, it's a final, and everything is still, and you've brought on a player that, you know, a creative player, an attacking player that you believe can change the game. And this person is coming on and he's playing balls that are, you know, trying to break the lines, trying to, you know, shoot, trying to just do something different. And you're critiquing that person. Why is he trying? Why is he? Because if you don't try, the game's going to remain 1-1. You're going to go to extra time, 1-1, and you're going to go to penalties, and then you're going to be upset. Why didn't we win the game? Why didn't we try? Well, someone was trying. Someone was trying to break the lines. Someone was trying to do something out of the ordinary. Someone was trying to be the game changer, and we did, and we had more to say, you know, than to push them. And I think for the Lecrae's, I think there's a difference, and I think this is where Christians can be a bit frustrated. When someone is trying to push the boundaries, and you can clearly see that their intentions are off, fair enough, have something to say. But when you see people who their history has been consistent, their character, their integrity has been consistent, and they're trying to push the boundaries because they know that Jesus, there's something about Jesus that needs to be taken from where we are to where it needs to be. Why are we quick to do it? But guess what? I've realized, and especially I say this as someone who is a reformer. I know I'm a reformer. This is the price. These are the stripes, you know, metaphorically speaking, that we have to bear for the sake of Christ. People are not going to like it, but guess what? I'd rather do this so that Jesus could be known, and I'll be humble enough. I get that people may not agree and people will critique and all of those kind of things. But the reality is that I'm willing to take the chance for the sake of Jesus. I am humble. Thank God I have accountability. Thank God I have good peers. Thank God I have family around me. If I'm erring from the way, they can always speak life back to me and tell me off or whatever. But at the end of the day, I know part of this call means taking a risk. And I can hear that in the both of you as well. You're going to have to take the risk. But guess what? We're going to have to take that on the chin. This is part of the call. And if people don't like it, that's good. Amen. Praise God. As you're doing your walk and you're doing your thing for the kingdom of God, this is the price that I need to pay for the kingdom of God. And if you really love me, pray that I don't miss it in the end. Pray that I don't lose my way and miss out on eternity if you really cared for me. Otherwise, all the think pieces that you're doing, all the reaction videos that you're doing, all the gossip that you're doing, all the rude comments that you're doing, it doesn't benefit anybody. Because guess what? Unbelievers are looking at you. And they're wondering why you're critiquing me whilst what I'm doing is blessing them or bringing them into a greater understanding of Jesus, who Jesus Christ is. So guess what? I'm not me. If I speak for myself, yes, my biggest critics have been believers. My biggest critics have been believers, not unsaved people. But guess what? I'm reminded of the scripture, you know, where I think it's Elisha praying to God, asking the Lord to open the eyes of his servant Gehazi, I think, showing that those that are for us more than those that are against us. Me, I'm like, look, I've got people backing me. I've got people backing me, not just, you know, from a character perspective, but people who are praying for me, people who are pushing me, going, we know you're going on the right way, brother. And for me, if and I'll wrap up by saying this, and you won't hear anything from me again today, I want to encourage you both as well, because I can clearly see that you guys are trailblazers. And yeah, part of the package is that we're going to be misunderstood. That's fine. People who follow Jesus are going to be misunderstood anyway. So this is not necessarily anything different. But if we are going to witness a time where, you know, Christian content is not boring or it doesn't have a stereotype anymore, we've got to push the boundaries of what that looks like. The reason why people are chasing after Christian nationalist content anyway is because Christian nationalist content creators love to rage bait. They love to rage bait. They love to agitate. They love to irritate people. They love spreading these inflamed messages that they know people are going to respond to. And guess what? That's popping in America. That's why a lot of these hardcore right-wing politicians or whatever, they love it. They're going to do it because they know that's what sells. They know that's what's going to get them YouTube views. They know that's what's going to get them followers. I always say to people, if you want to be a political commentator and you're black, go towards right-leaning politics. I promise you. You're going to grow your followership crazy. Just start rage baiting people. Right-wing, especially hardcore right-wing. This is not, I'm neither right nor left. That's a conversation for another day. I see myself more as a centrist. But if as a black person, you want to get into political commentary and you want to bust, do more hardcore right-wing stuff. They're going to be a black person, right-wing politics. Yeah. You had 100 followers. In the next month, I promise you're going to have 10K followers and it's going to go up. But the point that I say that to say that there's a method to the madness on social media.
Yeah, he really likes what you said, by the way. This guy likes what you said.
I ain't saying nothing about Tatum. I ain't saying nothing about Tatum. Did I say Tatum?
Oh my gosh. He's a police officer. He might shoot you back. But guys,
your time's gone. My time's gone.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. But you said you're not going to say anymore. But we're gonna we love your conversation. We want people to know where to find you. So, but first of all, Gaemechanger, thank you very much for this conversation. Roger, thank you for this conversation as well. Gaemechanger, where can people find you? Socials and all that.
Yeah, so socials, I'm on Insta, I'm on TikTok, I'm on Threads, Gaemechanger, but it's spelled differently. So it's Gaemechanger. So Gaemechanger, but with an E after the A. God's grace, I'll be on YouTube soon. So most likely it's going to be the same handle as well. But that's where you can find me active at the moment.
Love it.
And follow what I'm doing at this moment in time.
Love it, bro.
Yeah,
man.
Thank you so much. And guys, thank you for tuning in.
Yeah, man.
And see you soon on the next one.
Clip.
Thank you for watching the content we're putting out. Listen, make sure that you are liking, subscribing and following us on all our social channels, including patreon.com. Make sure you're finding us on there to support what we do so we can support you. And remember, guys, be extra.